Hello, English learners. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to continue with the Sherlock Holmes novel that we started in our last video. This is going to give you a very good idea of the vocabulary and grammar used in B2 level English. Pay close attention to the emphasis that I'm placing on certain syllables and words within sentences. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to see my next video. Let's dive in. Chapter 3, On the Tracks of the Truth. That same afternoon, Holmes, Lestrade, and I went to Aldgate Station, where the body of Cadogan West had been found. The fog had started to lift, but the station still felt cold and damp. A red-faced railway officer met us and pointed toward the spot near the tracks. "This is where the body was found," he said. "It was lying 3 feet away from the metal rails, just before the tunnel opens up." Holmes looked around carefully. Could someone have thrown the body down from the street above? The officer shook his head. "No. The walls are too high and solid. The body had to come from a train." Lestrade added, "The train must have passed around midnight on Monday. No signs of a fight were found inside any of the carriages, and no doors were open. There were also no tickets on the body." "A man must have a ticket to get on a train," Holmes said. "So either West dropped it or someone took it to hide where he came from." "There was one new report," said Lestrade. "A man on a train passing Aldgate around 11:40 p.m. said he heard a loud thud outside, like something heavy falling. But the fog was so thick, he couldn't see anything." Holmes didn't respond immediately. He stared at the tracks, deep in thought. His sharp eyes followed the line where the train moved out of the tunnel. Then he walked slowly toward the curve in the tracks, near a group of points. The metal devices that help trains switch tracks. Points. The curve. Yes, he whispered to himself. That's where it would fall. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Watson, it's just an idea, but it may be important," he said. "This area has both a curve and points. If something heavy were on top of a train, this is the kind of place where it might slide off." "Wait," I said. "Do you think the body was on top of the train?" "That's exactly what I think," Holmes said. "He didn't fall from inside the train. He fell from the roof." We were all silent for a moment. Holmes continued. "That's why there was so little blood at the scene. He didn't die here. He was already dead when he fell. And it explains why there was no ticket. He didn't enter the train in the normal way." "But how could someone put a body on the roof of a train?" I asked. Holmes looked serious. "We'll need to visit Woolwich. But first," he stopped and pulled a small telegram from his coat. He quickly scribbled a note and handed it to me. "Send this to Mycroft," he said. "I need a full list of all known foreign spies and agents currently in England." As we rode the train to Woolwich, I could see Holmes' mind working fast. His eyes were sharp, his hands tense. "We've learned something important," he said. "Cadogan West probably discovered something that night. Perhaps he saw someone breaking into the office. Maybe he followed them here to London." I nodded. "That would explain why he left his fiancée without warning." "Exactly," said Holmes. "A good citizen, loyal to his country, would act without thinking of anything else." We arrived in Woolwich and took a cab to visit the people closest to the case. Our first stop was the home of Sir James Walter, but we were too late. The butler answered the door with a pale face. "I'm sorry, sir," he said. "Sir James passed away this morning." Holmes was shocked. "How did he die?" "It was a heart attack, or something similar," said the butler. "His brother is inside, Colonel Valentine Walter." We were shown into a dim drawing room where Colonel Walter sat with a tired, broken look on his face. His eyes were red. "This terrible business killed my brother," he said softly. "He was a man of honor, and this was more than he could bear." Holmes asked, "Did he speak of Cadogan West?" "He believed West was guilty, but the whole thing confused him deeply." We left the house with heavy hearts. Next, we visited Miss Violet Westbury, Cadogan West's fiancée. She lived in a small house with his mother. "I still can't believe it," she said, her voice trembling. "Arthur would never betray his country." "Did he seem worried or nervous before his death?" Holmes asked gently. She hesitated. "Yes, for about a week. He seemed troubled. He told me there was something serious happening at work. He didn't say much, only that foreign spies would do anything to get the secret plans." "Tell me about the night he disappeared," said Holmes. "We were walking to the theater, but the fog was thick. Our path took us near the office. Suddenly, Arthur stopped and said, 'Wait here.' He stepped into the fog and never returned." She wiped her eyes. "Please, Mr. Holmes, help clear his name. His honor meant everything to him." Holmes nodded. "I will do my best, Miss Westbury." Our final stop was at the office of Woolwich Arsenal. Mr. Sidney Johnson, the senior clerk, met us. He looked tired and nervous. "We were one of the best-run offices in the government," he said. "Now the chief is dead. West is dead, and the papers are gone." Holmes asked questions about the keys, the safe, the timing. Everything Johnson said matched the reports. But outside, Holmes showed me something odd. "Look," he said, pointing to a laurel bush below the office window. "The branches are broken, and there are marks on the ground. Somebody may have climbed in or out." We also noticed that the metal window shutters didn't close completely. Holmes leaned close to me and whispered, "Someone outside could have watched what happened inside the room." We left Woolwich for London. But just before boarding the train, we spoke to the ticket clerk. "Yes," he said, "I remember Cadogan West." He was shaking and nervous. Took the 8:15 train to London Bridge, alone. On the train, Holmes sat quietly for a while. Then he said, "Watson, I think West saw someone stealing the papers, someone unexpected. Perhaps a colleague. He followed the person to London, maybe even fought him. And then," he paused, "and then his body ended up on top of a train. But who was the thief? And where are the missing papers?" Chapter 4. The House Above the Tracks. When we returned to Baker Street, a note from Mycroft was waiting. It listed 3 possible foreign spies currently in England: Adolphe Meyer, Westminster; Louis Larothière, Notting Hill; Hugo Oberstein, Caulfield Gardens, Kensington; Holmes circled Oberstein's name. "He was in London on Monday," said Holmes, "and now he's gone. That's our man." He pulled out a map of London and looked closely at the location of Caulfield Gardens. "Watson," he said excitedly, "Caulfield Gardens is built right above the underground tracks. And I remember something else. Trains often stop below those windows. This is the place." Later that evening, Holmes and I met at Goldini's restaurant near Gloucester Road, just a short walk from Oberstein's house. I had brought the tools Holmes requested: a lantern, a chisel, a crowbar, and my revolver. "Over coffee," Holmes explained. "West was placed on the roof of a train. The only place that makes sense is this. Oberstein's back window overlooks the track. When the train stops there, someone could lower a body onto the roof." "Couldn't someone see from another house?" I asked. "The fog was thick," said Holmes, "and Oberstein lived quietly with just one servant. Now he's gone to Europe, likely to sell the missing plans. But he left too soon. He thought he was safe. That's our chance." At midnight, we walked through the fog to 13 Caulfield Gardens. A children's party was going on next door, but Oberstein's house was dark and quiet. Holmes pointed to the small gate leading to the lower entrance. "We'll go in through the kitchen area. Ready, Watson?" With quick work, Holmes opened the door. We climbed the stairs in silence until we reached a narrow window. He pushed it open. A cold wind blew in, and then a sound, a low roar. A train passed below, its engine loud and its carriages rattling. Holmes used the lantern to check the windowsill. It was dirty with soot, but clearly marked and rubbed, as if something heavy had rested there. Then he found what he had hoped for. "Bloodstains," he said softly. "Very faint, but here they are." We waited. Soon, another train passed and stopped directly under the window. The roof of the car was only a few feet below. "So," Holmes whispered, "this is how they did it." We then searched the house. Most of the rooms were empty, but in the study, Holmes found a locked box. Inside were strange papers filled with technical notes. But then he found something more valuable: a small envelope with old newspaper clippings. "Messages from the Daily Telegraph. Agony column," Holmes said. "All signed Pierrot." "Listen to these messages," he read aloud. "Hoped to hear sooner. Terms agreed with. Write fully to address given on card. Too complex for description. Must have full report. Payment awaits you when goods delivered. Monday night after 9. 2 taps. Only ourselves. Don't be so suspicious." Holmes smiled. Oberstein was arranging the deal through these secret messages. Now we know the time and place of the final meeting. It matches the night West died. The next morning, Holmes met again with Mycroft and Lestrade. "Here's today's newspaper," Holmes said, pointing to a new message in the agony column. "Tonight, same hour, same place. 2 taps. Most vitally important. Your own safety is at stake. Pierrot." "I wrote that one myself," said Holmes. Lestrade raised his eyebrows. "So if he answers, we'll catch him." "That's the plan," Holmes replied. That evening, we returned to Caulfield Gardens. The back door was left open, just like before. Mycroft and Lestrade waited inside with us in complete silence. At 11 p.m., we heard footsteps. Then, 2 taps on the door. Holmes opened it quickly. A man stepped in and froze when he saw us. He tried to run, but Holmes grabbed him and threw him to the floor. His hat fell off. His disguise fell apart. It was Colonel Valentine Walter, Sir James's brother. Everyone was stunned. We helped him to the sofa. His face was white, and his body shook. "I came to see Oberstein," he whispered. "Everything is known," Holmes said firmly. "We know you were in debt. You copied your brother's keys. You arranged meetings with Oberstein using coded messages. And Cadogan West saw you." Walter covered his face with his hands. "I didn't kill him," he cried. "I swear I didn't." "Then explain," Holmes said calmly. Walter took a deep breath. "Yes, I gave Oberstein the papers. I needed the money. I didn't know West had followed me. He saw me at the door. Oberstein opened it. West pushed in and demanded answers. Oberstein hit him with a weapon he always carried. West died almost immediately." "What did you do then?" Lestrade asked. "We panicked. Oberstein didn't want to lose the deal, so he hid 3 plans. He placed the other 7 in West's pocket to make it look like he was the traitor. Then we waited for a train to stop, and we dropped the body onto it." "And your brother?" Holmes asked. Walter's voice broke. "He caught me once with his keys. He never said anything, but I think he knew. He died of a broken heart." Holmes was silent. Then he stood. "We have what we need." Chapter 5: Justice and Honor. After Colonel Walter's confession, everything became clear. The stolen papers had never left England. Oberstein still had the 3 most important plans, but Holmes had a final idea to catch him. "Colonel," Holmes said, "you're going to help us one more time." Walter looked up in surprise. "What can I do?" "You're going to write a letter to Oberstein," Holmes said, "and tell him you have a missing piece of the submarine plans. If he wants it, he must come to meet you. With cash, we'll arrange the rest." That evening, under Holmes' dictation, Colonel Walter wrote the letter. "Dear Sir, one important piece is missing. I have it. I need an extra £500. I will meet you at noon on Saturday at the smoking room of the Charing Cross Hotel. I will only accept English notes or gold. No postal delivery. V.W." Holmes sent the letter to the Hotel de Louvre in Paris, where Oberstein had gone to hide. Now they could only wait. Saturday came. The team gathered at Charing Cross Hotel, watching from hidden positions. At exactly 12 o'clock, Hugo Oberstein walked into the smoking room. He looked calm and confident. Holmes gave the signal. Lestrade stepped forward, and Oberstein was quietly arrested. In his bag, they found copies of foreign letters, money, and most importantly, the 3 missing plans. "Got him," Holmes whispered to me. A few weeks later, Holmes and I walked through the park. The air was fresh. The trees were beginning to bloom again. "So the papers are back," I said. "And Colonel Walter?" "In prison," Holmes replied. "He may have good reasons, but betrayal cannot be forgiven." "And Oberstein?" also in prison, said Holmes. He will stay there for many years. He tried to sell the plans to every country in Europe. Do you think justice was done? Holmes paused. Yes, he said, but it cost us dearly. Sir James is dead. Cadogan West is dead. And Colonel Walter lost everything. He looked out toward the river. Still, we saved the country. I think that matters more than recognition. I smiled. But someone did recognize your work, didn't they? Holmes gave a small grin. Let's just say a certain gracious lady was pleased. He didn't say more, but weeks later I noticed he had a new emerald tie pin. It sparkled in the sunlight. I never asked who gave it to him, but I knew. The end. That concludes this Sherlock Holmes novel. I hope you liked it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and subscribe to see my next lesson, where I'm going to continue reading through another short story.